This was like from Mars freak show, all these views. The West must defend itself. The people producing this thing called software must be aligned with our government. We should not allow institutions, software institutions, to sell.
Book coming. Who better to introduce your book than billionaire Stanley Druckenmiller? This is epic.
He's one of the most consequential Americans running one of the most consequential companies in the world. You know, sometimes it's better to be lucky than smart. In 1976, my boss and mentor in Pittsburgh told me there was a man coming in the next day and that no one had ever heard of him, but this man was going to be a force and I should stay close to him the rest of my career. That was 48 years ago, and the next day I met Ken Langone. And for the first 15 years, it was kind of my little secret. Not many people knew Ken Langone. And then he became, I think, widely recognized as a national treasure. 15 years ago, Peter Thiel introduced me another man who most of you probably didn't hear of 15 years ago, Alex Karp. And maybe for the first 4 or 5 years, people didn't know much about Alex Karp. Again, I felt like I had a secret over most of the public, but I'm delighted that he now has become a national treasure and a recognized figure. And both these men are the same men that I met before they were famous. They have more moral clarity than anybody I've ever met. And Alex, as a United States citizen, we're so lucky to have you, and it's an honor to interview you today. So I do have a question for you, though. Palantirians, I think of a bunch of software engineers. You went to Haverford College, philosophy major, then you got a law degree, and you have a PhD in neoclassical theory, I think it's called, neoclassical social theory. I don't know what the hell that is, but it doesn't sound like a software engineer.
How often do we see the most influential figures emerge from completely unexpected backgrounds? A philosophy major leading one of the most advanced AI-driven companies. That's the kind of unconventional thinking that reshapes entire industries. Getting this level of recognition from Druckenmiller is a rare feat. It highlights how Palantir isn't just another tech company. It's a strategic force in AI, reshaping industries that few companies even dare to enter.
So Peter Thiel has been amazing at picking leaders of companies. Why do you think he picked you, and can you just tell us about how it all happened in the beginning?
Well, first of all, it means a lot to be on stage with you, and I don't think Stan needs an introduction to this audience. But, you know, I've really profited a lot in many ways from our many interactions. And you know, there's the moral force that you are, and there's also the cognitive force and the kind of an outsider person who made it. I very much relate to you, and yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have no earthly clue why Peter picked me. I thought about this a lot. Peter and I were sparring partners and friends in law school. I hated every minute of law school. I thought, you know, it's like moral sophistry in the service of prestige. And I understand both, but it's just not my thing. And I only finished because my grandfather was basically an immigrant, and I figured I couldn't really bring it. He passed away in my first year of law school, but I couldn't really bring telling him I was dropping out of school. But if I had to surmise, it's like Peter and I very much disagreed on the outcomes of the suppositions of our arguments, but we very much agreed on what it meant to make a strong argument and the suppositions that went into a strong argument and the level of rigor you needed to be plausibly even wrong. And we would battle over political. He was then more kind of, as now, or on the right, I was at the time a classic progressive. I still am, unfortunately. That part of America has been turned over to a pagan religion that is not intellectual and not liberal. And I think culturally, well, I was very honored when you asked me to speak, but I did say, just if you're asking me to speak,
you're not going to get it.
If you asked me to speak, then you asked me to speak. So you just have to. But I'm not saying anything I don't say in public. So, although I do think, my father's side of my family is Germanic Jewish, and Peter is German Huguenot. You're German.
How often do you see a tech leader openly embracing an outsider identity while leading one of the most influential AI-driven companies? Karp's ability to challenge conventional thinking, whether in law, politics, or AI, is what makes Palantir so unique.
There was a cultural affinity. That's definitely true. And there are some very Germanic aspects of Palantir I could go into. But at the end of the day, I think all greatness is artistic. I think Peter is an artist in picking talent. I think if you asked him, he would give you an answer, but the real answer is he recognizes an artist when he sees an artist. And we've worked very effectively together. And by the way, it wasn't just, no one else would have picked me to run anything. I mean, I might not have said, but but I think there's picking and promoting and giving, operational authority to, all of which Peter has done. Very, very unusual. I would say our dialogue, one of the things that has made us, I don't know how many people follow our company. Maybe you should have followed us closer. But hopefully you didn't short us. But I wish you a merry holiday, even if you did. It won't be that merry. But I would say the rigor of our dialogues, where you can have, I'm not really trying to impose my opinion on him. And even though when we started the company, there was a massive stature difference, it really was about having a very rigorous opinion that you could defend. And inside Palantir, there's lots of things about us, but I think the thing that's most special about us is the platform that changed the course of arc of history on terrorism was built by us. The platform that changed the arc of history on the battlefield, the first actual use of AI on the battlefield, the first actual and most impactful use of AI is not large language models, was built by us, Project Maven.
Palantir's impact on AI in warfare isn't just about technical prowess, it's about vision. The company's ability to change the trajectory of global security comes from leaders who think beyond code and see AI as a transformative force.
The way in which software is managed on-prem will be managed by us. The most useful, most impactful by any standard in US commercial platform in the world, Foundry, was built by us. The platform that ended up being the only thing on the market useful for managing large language models is built by us. The view that large language models would be the management of the resource as opposed to the resource itself was heretical. Now everybody in the Valley wants to copy it. The way we organize, almost every defense tech startup is an ex-Palantirian. I don't think you can even get investment in enterprise software at this point of any kind without an ex-Palantirian or trying to copy what we're doing. The idea to organize, do a DPO and engage non-professional investors in essentially an army was, I'm proud of, organized by us and me. The death and pain that is brought to our enemies is mostly, not exclusively, brought by Palantir. The moral clarity term that to stand up for Israel when on October 8th was done in great part by us and some others, but we leaned into that. The battlefield using large language models, moving to small to large device is powered at the operating system by us. And it goes on and on and on and on. Like the best talent, organized talent in enterprise software in the world is bar none Palantir. And that's been true for 20 years. It's one thing to have a startup where you have the highest peak of parent of talent, but we're 20 years in, and if you ask any venture person, people who, whatever, some of them have liked me, don't like. Now, actually, I'm pretty popular, but and more aligned actually with the venture community because it's newly pro-American. And actually, I would say stood up when Israel was under massive assault, and it was popular to, especially in Europe where I spent half my life, blame all problems on the Jews. Our integration doesn't work. Our software industry doesn't work. Our tech industry doesn't work. But we can go to the International Criminal Court and pretend human rights abuses are happening where they're not. And complete, utter intellectual cringe level BS. Or, universities dedicate to themselves to being anti-prejudice, except for when it comes on and on and on. Very proud of these things. We're very, very allied with Western values. Even saying Western values are superior and obvious, I think it's just an obvious fact. But certainly it's an obvious fact if you're a religious, racial minority or you're non-male. That was somehow controversial. I think still is. I don't know why. Always been we're very pro-meritocracy. No one at Palantir cares where you went to school, who your parents is, what your background is. They're ex-Palantirians here. They will attest to, we've been saying the same thing for 20 years. Ran into Eric Poirier, he's here. He's like, man, you're saying it. Honestly, one of the weird things about Palantir is I am saying the same thing for the last 10, 20 years. But in any case, it's fresh and new now. Yeah, I don't know. That's a long-winded answer, non-answer to your question.
You answered it.
So.
How many companies can claim they've reshaped both modern warfare and the commercial AI landscape? Palantir didn't just build powerful software. They pioneered an entirely new way of thinking about AI. While the industry chased flashy large language models, Palantir saw the bigger picture. AI isn't just the product. It's a tool that must be controlled, directed, and integrated. Now, the same companies that dismiss this approach are scrambling to replicate it. That's not luck. That's vision.